Welcome back to the Screen Team right here on KWOC. And of course, we thank you for listening on KWOC. And we thank our viewers for watching on the Screen Team on YouTube. We appreciate both our listeners and our viewers. I got Jake here on the show. And Jake, we're getting ready to review my favorite Indiana Jones film of all time. And I'm going to tell the folks why this is the best one out of the four films, and you're going to tell people why it's not. We're talking about Temple of Doom, Indiana Jones, that came out in the mid-1980s. Of course, it stars Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones. And, Jake, I'm going to let you go first. Why is this not the greatest Indiana Jones film of all time?
Because it's not Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh, come on, man. What does Raiders have? Raiders has a bunch of Nazis.
Everything it needs and nothing it don't.
I don't know if I can argue with that. Wow. He pretty much sucker punched me right there, man. Okay. But does Raiders of the Lost Ark, does it have a roller coaster in it?
No. And that is one thing. Raiders has its own big set pieces.
Mm-hmm.
But Temple of Doom just takes the set pieces from Raiders and just says, well, let's make this an amusement park ride. And it literally did.
Yeah.
And I really do enjoy Temple of Doom. I enjoy watching the movie. I think as far as the best of the series, or the best of the initial three, because I just don't know where to put Crystal Skull. I can't even categorize it with the others. It has to be Raiders, it has to be Last Crusade, and then it has to be Temple. I have to put it at the bottom. Because there's some parts in the, I would say,
what is
the second half of the first third of the movie that kind of drags.
Okay, which part is that? Which part drags for you?
What part drags for me? Where they're after they jump out of the plane,
okay,
in the life raft, and then they're tracing through the jungle with the tribes people.
But they're setting it up for what they got to discover, man.
It is a good setup, but it just kind of feels like up until the point to where they're actually at the temple, if you will. I feel like that just a little bit of that drags. There's some really good build up there. At the same time, I think it just moves a little slower than it needed to.
Dude, there's so many good action pieces in this film. We mentioned the roller coaster where they're on that mine car and they just go on a roller coaster, basically. I don't know how else to say it. But there's also the beginning where you see Indiana Jones, excuse me, and he's messing with those mobsters in that Chinese nightclub. And, Short Round saves them, and that's a great action sequence. And then you mentioned the action sequence in the plane, and they jump out in a lifeboat raft, and then there's the scene where Indiana Jones and everybody is on the bridge, and he just goes with a machete on it. There's so many good scenes in this, man.
There are a lot of great scenes. I think Temple of Doom is a great movie, but is it a great Indiana Jones movie? Could you select any action hero and put him in place of Indiana Jones in this movie and it still work? And my answer to that is yes.
Well, are you saying that you couldn't do that in Crusade or Raiders? You couldn't put James Bond in there.
No, you couldn't do that. My thing with Raiders of the Lost Ark is Indy is a character. He has emotional attachment to the other characters in the story. And he does in Last Crusade as well. Yeah. You could kind of say that for Crystal Skull, but Crystal Skull is its own thing.
It's lame.
It's its own thing.
It's just lame.
Yeah. We'll see if they can redeem themselves later with their next installment. That Harrison says he'll make these movies forever. And we'll see how far he can, but there we go. But I think the thing, Temple of Doom is a great thrill ride movie. It's a lot of fun. It's got a lot of classic scenes, a lot of scenes that are constantly referenced in pop culture to this day.
Right. But it just doesn't have an emotional attachment.
I think it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't have the character development. I mean, it is a prequel, and a lot of people don't realize that it takes place a few years before Raiders of the Lost Ark. Which that also is part of it. That makes sense that there's not the emotional draw or anything like that. It's more of just a go here, get the MacGuffin, and get the heck out without getting killed.
So, would another negative be the fact that whatever it is they're searching for, the audience doesn't have an emotional tie? Like, for example, with Raiders, you're going for the Ark of the Covenant. With, can't even think of the name, Last Crusade, they're looking for the Holy Grail.
Yes.
With this one, they're looking for rocks.
Essentially, yes, and there's no emotional attachment in the story. I mean, you've got the kind of damsel in distress leading lady, but she's has no connection in the past to Indy at all.
Right.
You've got Short Round,
who's awesome,
and a major redeeming factor of this movie. And you try to create that emotional attachment. I think that was something that they wrote in because maybe they realized, oh, well, we don't really have any motivating characters that Indy needs to be after. I mean, the scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark after the big chase through all the streets of Egypt, and they think Karen Allen's character dies, and Indy's just sitting there just drinking away and taking it hard. You don't have that scene in this one. You don't have any of that. You don't have any character development, and I think that's my biggest issue, and probably most movie critics' biggest issue with Temple of Doom.
Man,
but I love the movie. I'm going to say it's your favorite movie, and I can, I'm not going to tout you for that. But it's not the best of the Indiana Jones movies.
I think I lost this argument. My main argument was it's got a roller coaster, and yours is character development. I don't think I can. Yeah, you.
Hey, there's sometimes you're in the mood for Temple of Doom. It's like sometimes you just want to laugh and just say that's awesome, that's awesome, that's awesome, and not really have to think about it. Temple of Doom is definitely more of a lighthearted movie. It's got some messed up stuff in it. I mean, you've got child slavery. You got
eating of monkey brains.
You got eating monkey brains. You got
Kate Capshaw's scene where she's got like 1,000 bugs on her and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you've got dipping people in lava and taking out people's hearts. I mean,
man.
It's got some messed up stuff in it.
And to get to that point about all the messed up stuff it had on it, I believe when this movie was released, there was no rated PG-13 moniker.
Yeah.
So, like, once this movie came out, I think there was one other one. Like, there was two movies that came out at the same time where they're like, we need a third option. It can't be rated PG or rated R. There's got to be something in the middle. And because of movies like Temple of the Doom, that's why we have rated PG-13.
Yeah.
So,
Temple of Doom, I will agree. It's worth a watch. It's worth watching over and over again. It really is.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that because you're my friend. I really enjoy Temple of Doom, but it's not the best Indiana Jones film. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be an Indiana Jones film. But it does carry through with the idea of where Raiders of the Lost Ark came from. They wanted to do kind of the classic globetrotting 30s adventure tale that you don't really see, kind of like Queen of the Nile and movies like that back from the 40s and 50s, and even going back. And the Saturday morning serials, kind of where the idea where Star Wars came from.
Yeah.
It definitely follows that because you really have no reason. You have no reason to follow this particular story because it doesn't have anything going on with the whole arc of the Indiana Jones movies. But it is a great movie on its own.
So there you go. Jake's got it for you right here. It's Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. And, of course, you can find it on DVD. That's going to do it for this edition of the Screen Team. Thank you for listening on KWOC, and thank you for watching on Screen Team on YouTube. We appreciate all of our viewers and listeners. We'll see you again next Saturday at 6 p.m. right here on KWOC.